Well, it's just about time for the holidays. Rolling into December here, and I found an appropriate project. The roller organ. In this episode, we'll be looking at an antique I've been holding on to for decades now, and it's been in the family. It's been through some little repairs and some jimmy riggings, but at the end of the day, it's not running at all, and it's been a long time. Let's try to put it back together a little closer to the way it was supposed to. If you enjoy this type of content, please like, please comment, and join us in the conversation, and please subscribe to the channel. As always, this is a multi-chapter video, so if you're looking to just get to a part that you've seen before or want to see right away, please go down to the bottom of your screen where you can select chapters and select the part that you'd like to watch. Otherwise, here goes the video. Well, another day on my feet, down at the shop for just a little bit of time, and that sounds pretty good. Still a lot to clean up, but not feeling quite good enough for that, and that's fine. Right now I have one little project I'd just like to crack into, because I haven't even seen in this box for a long time. Very fragile. Be careful. Antique. When Christmas time rolls around, I start thinking about this thing. I think about it every once in a while. I don't know why it reminds me of the holidays. Maybe it's because it's one of those only times that people remember about music boxes.
Oh, man.
But either way, I felt it was time to give it a look, because it's been waiting in this box for a long time. It's been waiting since, boy, back when I lived in Colorado, and probably 10 or more years before that. I'm going to make sure I lay something soft down so I don't damage this any worse than it might already be. I don't really know what condition it's in. I remember it not being in great condition when I was a kid, but I do remember it being around. Let's see what we're getting into here. I'm already pretty worried because whoever packaged this last, which wasn't me, put this blue tape directly on the varnish. And I just know that's not going to turn out good. I've tried warming up the tape, and this is where I ended up. I'm kind of freaking out here because it's already off to a bad start, noticing that this adhesive on the blue tape has literally meshed with the varnish. There's no separating the two. They chemically have just destroyed whatever was on the outside of this box.
Oh, it's all just wrecked.
When I'd imagined doing this project, I had envisioned taking it out of whatever box it was in and finding it pretty much padded up and ready to go on working on the internal mechanics. Sadly, like so many projects gone by, there's more to do than I'd ever imagined. But that's okay. Right now I have to just get past this point of frustration and get the tape off, regardless of the damage that it feels like I'm causing. The damage was already done. Time to move past it.
It's already peeled it all off. It's absorbed.
I can just hear Chuck from Better Call Saul telling Jimmy, no, you've got to roll thumb over thumb so that the duct tape doesn't pull the varnish off the walnut shelves. But sadly, that method would not work here, and it's not quite as drastic of a situation. However, it is quite frustrating. I'm already wondering, do I sand this down and stain it? There's no way I can replicate the patterns and the stenciling on it. Maybe I do folk art on it? I don't even know. It's too soon to think about that far into the project. Right now, we're still discovering.
Whatever. Gotta get past it. Yep, it's trashed. It's all bubbling off anyway.
Well, I can finally open the top. I had forgotten that this had a little glass window to open up and make it louder when it played. Actually, this is how it's intended to be opened when you operate it. But we're going to take the whole lid off once we break that last darn piece of blue tape free in the back. And of course we can see what's going on in the interior here. Maybe by the time we film part 2, we'll be back to that glass door and lid. Maybe. Well, here's what people fondly call the corn cobs. But they are just cobs, they're rollers, and it's basically like an old form of MIDI. Think of the organ as a MIDI instrument, and these little pegs as the positions to tell the MIDI what note to play. As the cob rotates, it hits these little forks that open these little reeds and play a song for you. It's very interesting, like a big hand crank harmonica or hurdy-gurdy, or just the untalented man's accordion of the day. Now, I do remember being a kid and cranking this thing and having it work. It's just years of dry rot that have deteriorated it. And I also remember being a kid and this not working and being probably like 12 years old and taping like an old piece of a checkbook to the back of it just to plug up some holes where it needed to stop drawing in air to the bellows. So it ain't running good, and that was to be expected. But it's running way worse than I thought it would. Anyway, I'll try to unload this cob. I'm not sure it was even loaded correctly in the first place. There's a little spot, that index spot. That second one is for cranking. So why don't we take a look at the crank mechanics here and see what we got going on. I'm not totally shocked, but I'm shocked at how much work it seems like the top end of this needs. I mean, I haven't even given it a thorough look over, and I'm kind of itching to get to the part I meant to look at the whole time, which is the bottom. We'll come back to the top one more time before we're done today. What we have underneath is a dual bellow system, meaning continuous air. While one is deflating, the other is inflating. And that's pretty cool, except for there's a lot of moving parts here, and most of them are wood and leather. There's the checkbook that I'm touching right now. I totally remember taping that on there as a kid. This I don't remember. A double piece of cardboard, perhaps, with electrical tape just holding it together so that it barely hinges open. Everything down here is hodgepodge. It's really not anything I think anybody's had interest to look at.
Cardboard. Wood and a little strip of tape, but probably leather or foam. Jeez. Who knows? So I don't even understand how this works, like a chest patch or something. What on earth?
Yeah, this thing's not even on life support anymore. It's just a corpse in a box. But we're going to try to reanimate it, by golly. And that starts with probably taking off everything that's not original. Cardboard and electrical tape. Definitely not original. This little wire seems like something 12-year-old me would have put on it. This was probably some crude attempt at making a hinge, which you'll see on the other one that was original, but this isn't original. It's gotta go into the pile of not original junk. What else we got? That's not original. All unoriginal garbage must go.
Oh, how lovely. $19.01. It's really hard to catch it on the light, but it's written in there in some sort of graphite or May 5th, 1900. Where's the one? Show it up top.
Well, it's super cool to find a date on this. Sometimes you can go forever and never see a date on something you're working on. Well, let's keep digging through it here. You're about to see that spring attempt I was mentioning. As you can see, with this flap of lightweight wood, there's a little wire hinge inside that just kind of helps pin it down a little when it's not having air pushed through it. Anybody that works with wood for a living, or even just materials for a living, will tell you, sometimes just by the feel of things, you can get a good assessment of what you're working with. I'm just trying to feel out this wood and figure out how hard it needs to be when I replace it and what kind of weight I should be working with.
Talk about cheap fixes.
Cheap fixes indeed. Probably as a kid I thought, this is as close as I can get to some sort of flexible leather or plastic like What's Above It, which also may not be original. A valiant attempt. So at this point I assume that this is original, whatever it may be. It's just dried out. And it's just screwed on here. That's incredible. Well, I'll be happy to do the same. Same here. It looks like screw, screw, screw. So I think this is also an old repair. I really do wonder what that's supposed to be. It's some sort of a flapper. I wonder what happens if you just cover it completely. Of course, I'm still missing this. Now, obviously, I know taping this up is wrong, but right now I'm just trying to find a way to close down holes in the bellows and just see if I can get it to do anything. I'm assuming there needs to be flappers on the inside of these bellows, and that's the repair that was never done, which is why we're looking at maybe 50, 60-year-old repairs underneath this. Let's just try to plug it up for now and see what we can do. Gotta know. Sure. Gotta know. All right, and give it a little tension. Oh, you can feel so much more strength in the bellows. That's so interesting. I can make this thing so it just cracks, but it still sucks that cardboard in when it wants to make a vacuum. Let's just see, because, I mean, I still want to figure out the top end of this a little more. Just leave that a little breathing room. Okay. Gross. Okay. Let's try something real quick. Oh. Oof. Okay. Well. Oh, there's some more breakage back there. Boy, that would change everything. Holy cow. This poor little guy's been tromped. They must have had some wicked, wicked dance parties wherever the heck they got this thing at. Okay. So after temporarily just sealing up the bottom for the heck of it, I'm going to try rolling this thing and seeing about the top end. We never really finished looking at the top end, and I want to make sure there's nothing else wrong up here. Plus, maybe we can start hearing something that slightly resembles an actual song coming through the organ. But my hopes aren't very high. This little poor guy's really been going through it, and it's hurting that back bellow, so I'm going to hold it down and see if I can do just a little better here while it's still broken. Man, you could put a power drill on this thing and rock the block, huh? Okay, well, that's really bad, because only half of the bellows are working, and no half that's working isn't even working great. This isn't like a family heirloom or anything, I don't think. But the point is, nobody's ever taken it apart like this.
The goal isn't perfection, even though the preservationist in me wants to totally restore it. The realistic me says it would be nice to just use it, and I've got a lot of kids, so it'd be nice for them to be able to touch it. So if I can just get it back to workable where it won't damage and it's not total trash, it'd be cool to have. I mean, but we're down to restoring wood and all this stuff, and I'm okay to do it, but I think the first goal is to just get it reasonably running, and then at that point, if it feels necessary to start replacing parts or like recutting this wood piece, I think that I'm totally open to that. But right now I'd just kind of like to get this fixed and get the bellows fixed, and I think maybe put some felt on the back of some of these because it's missing them. I mean, I could do felt on all of them, sure. That's a reasonable fix. And most of them are pretty trashed, even though I'd like to keep the old felt. I mean, if it's not doing what it's supposed to do, what's the point? And then I'm sure these all kind of need rebended and adjusted because people have probably jacked around with them. Oh, that's so much easier. I see. So your song lasts however one rotation is. So man, maybe you have a really nice little waltz and you just want to keep dancing. You tell the kid to keep cranking it for daddy and mommy. Sounds great in the early 1900s or late 1800s or whatever.
So at this point, it's time to just do a little more research. I've got a pretty good grasp on what's going on here, but I need to figure out how to get the concert roller organ out of the exterior shell that it's in.
Wow, this thing was made out of scraps, man. The quality of the wood is like somebody cut up some old chests or some old shipping containers or something. But I mean, this is a great little mechanism. The Carpentry is no fascinating thing. It's a bellows box mixed with a crank, whatever this thing's called. Yeah, some of them aren't even hitting because they've been so tweaked out and messed up. You all need like a little adjustment.
I'll definitely have to figure out what felt I want to use for this. That's a no-brainer, and I expect there to be felt on the bottom as well somewhere. Of course, these little points that make contact with the cob as it's rolling and open these little holes need adjusted. You can see how out of whack they are, not even in a straight line. That's enough research for today. I think the next thing I want to do is remove the interior portion, which is the actual organ, from the exterior case. But for today, I'm feeling like I'm at my physical limit, and that's okay. I'm going to pack it up and call it an afternoon instead of pushing myself too hard. I definitely need to figure out what kind of knob was on this. I'll probably have to make that or find a old knob off of something else and repurpose it. It really does make it hard to open this glass without it. And of course I love this old crank. I almost don't want to touch anything on the crank handle. I want to leave the patina on it. It's just so cool. Cool knob, cool little S arm on it, cool everything. I don't really want to mess with that at all. But we'll see what happens as the project goes on. For now, it's probably just time to shut off the lights in the workshop and call it a day. Looking at that artwork, I just don't know how I'm going to replicate that. It's not super intricate, but it's more than I was hoping for. No idea what I'm going to do with this thing, but at least we know what we're up against now. Time to shut off the lights, close down the workshop, and call it a day. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, please comment, and please subscribe, and we'll see you on part 2. Have a great day, God bless, and happy holidays.